I mean, it was a 3-bedroom apartment. So, I mean, even if there was, I mean, you don't want more than, I really not more than 3 people, but I guess at most, if it's all couples there, I mean 6. But these were, 4 guys in this room, then there was 1 couple in another room, then there was like 4 more girls in the other room. So, I mean, you were really crammed in this bedroom. It's like, you have your little space for your bed, and maybe you might have a little dresser if it fit in there. And then there was bunk beds in one room where 2 people were sleeping, then a bed on the floor, and then a bed on the other side of the floor. Then in the girls' room, there was also a pair of bunk beds, a bed right here, and another bed on the floor. So, I mean, and then there was 1 couple in there. The guy he's in HCO, he still works at the, he actually had his own bedroom because he had a girlfriend. So him and his girlfriend had their bedroom. They were the only ones with a decent living space. But even then, they had the smallest room, and they were pretty much crammed in there. After, doing this Scientology stuff for about 2 years, I wasn't in as long as a lot of people inside of the cult and stuck there doing this slave labor. But after about 2 years, I started feeling bad about what I was doing. I'd be out at the kiosk where we sell books at the Irving Mall, and I would just sit there. I started looking up anti-Scientology websites because I felt like by selling people this book, I was kind of suckering them in the same way I was suckered in. The slow gradient system. They read Dianetics. It seems like a great book, and before you know it, you're, hearing all the other crazy stuff that happens. And I didn't feel like that was right anymore. So I basically sat down at the kiosk all day, looking at Why We Protest. And that was one of the websites that really got me out. Just check it out if you guys are interested. Look at Why We Protest, or Xena.net, etc. Just look it up. But anyway, so I decided, you know what, I want to leave. I don't want to be here anymore. I don't want to be doing this for the rest of my life. And at this time, I had just signed a Sea Org contract because just a few months before I really decided to leave, I was, being pressured to join the Sea Org, and I decided it was the best thing for my number, dynamics. I'll put that on another video, explaining more about the dynamics sometime. But anyway, I felt like I should leave. I was going to wind up in the Sea Org. I don't know what would have happened then. Of course, I'd still be stuck there now because these people sign billion-year contracts, like I said, the whole past life thing. But anyway, I decided it was time to escape. So one day, I went home, and my roommates were there watching a movie. They were just getting home as well. I believe it was a Monday night. And so I grabbed this laundry basket, and I filled it with anything that I had that I really needed. I didn't grab much, just everything that I felt was necessary. And I put it all in this laundry basket and covered it with clothes. And then I decided I was going to leave. I walked out. I told my roommates I was going to do laundry. Called my friend, my best friend. He let me stay with him after I left. Came and picked me up. He was already opposed to the Church of Scientology from the beginning. When I got into it, he was telling me it's a cult, etc. They tried to make me disconnect from him. Again, that's another story I'll bring up sometime later. But yeah, so he picked me up, brought me out back to his house. We went and recorded some music because we own a home studio at his house, and said he was glad that I was out. I mean, this was the first time I really hung out with him in about 2 years, more than an hour or so. So, the next day, I remember I got a phone call, well, a lot of phone calls from the org, but then one from my mom. And so I called her back, and she told me that they were there, wanted me to go back and do a routing out form, which is basically leaving Scientology the proper way, be in good terms with the org, still be a Scientologist, just leave staff. But I had tried to do it before, and basically all this is routing back in. They should call it the routing back in form. Because you go in there, say you're going to route out, they give you a guilt trip until you decide you're going to stay. So I told my mom, tell them no way. Then she started telling me about how they brought a police officer there. They had put in a missing persons report to the police, brought the police officer to my mom's house, and tried to worry my mom, saying that maybe I'm not okay. They think I'm on drugs and all this different stuff. It was crazy. They actually worried my mom. Even though I had talked to her, she was still worried, thinking that something wrong had happened, until I finally explained it to her later. But that was literally how I did it, because I knew if I just said I was gonna leave, or I just tried to leave, it would not be that easy. There's actually people who in the Sea Org go out and look for blown staff members or staff members who left and try to bring them back so they can do these ethics cycles and get them routed back in, get back on posts, back to doing Scientology, clearing the planet. I was told it was a cyber terrorist group. That was one of the first things I was told. I was told a lot of different things. One of the first things was cyber terrorist group, that they just wanted to take Scientology down because it was good. Like, these people are all evil, basically, is what they painted Anonymous to be. Some evil people who just wanted to destroy the world. And that you guys are cyber terrorists, you make threats all the time, that you're gonna, send bombs to the building, all kinds of negative stuff. And then I've also heard from someone else tell me inside of HCO that there was a bunch of kids, like college kids, who were being paid by, a couple, like 3 or 4 ringleaders who were really anonymous to go out and do the protesting. And I mean, I'm out here right now and there's no one getting paid, just to, put that on the record. But yeah, that's what I was told, that everyone was paid to do it, and a lot of the times they'll send people to these kids' homes and tell them what they're protesting against, and they won't want to do it anymore, is what I was told. Also, just not to listen to anything that Anonymous has to say, or any In Theta website, or anything that has, in other words, something bad to say about Scientology. You're just told to stay away from it. Don't listen to it. It's lies, it's bad, it's going to mess up your auditing. There's certain websites that they said you are not eligible to do your OT levels, which is like top of the bridge in Scientology. You could research the bridge in other places, other websites, but there's certain websites like Why We Protest, etc. You're not even allowed to do your OT levels if you look up this information. Basically, like, making sure you do not want to look at this stuff if you're in Scientology, because God forbid you actually see what's really going on, then you won't be scammed anymore like me. That's why I got out. Not sure where it came from. There's a post in the org called the DSA, which stands for Department of Special Affairs. And they're basically OSA, which OSA is a big group who still deals with all the legal stuff. It's just one person who's appointed to each local building or each local church to deal with all that stuff. They deal with the PR of the church. They deal with the different negativities that are going on the internet. They're actually the only people in the org who are allowed to go on all the In Theta websites and look through it. I know personally because one time I had gotten in trouble for looking at an In Theta website, and I went with the DSA, and he brought me in there and showed me stuff on the website and was like, if you ever want to look at it, you have to look at it with me so I can answer any questions you have and make sure you don't look at it negatively. But he's the guy who deals with all that, and he's the one who told me all this information about Anonymous and who you guys were, and etc. But only negative and only lies.
So the DSA, kind of like Dark Spectre and on.